Okay, first of all, greetings from the European Commission. Thanks to the organizers for having invited us to this splendid place, which I did not know, but this is Matera, seen from above. Now, the title of this conference is Space4Culture. My ambition is to bring you to the culture of space, which is a bit too difficult, but I'll try in a very few minutes I have. So let's begin with the definition of space. Normally, we have three big interpretations of space. Space as geographical space, mountains, lakes, forests, surroundings, sea, mountains, and continents. Outer space, beginning from the atmosphere and until the deep space, galaxies far, far away. And digital space, which is something that is defining more and more our civilization as we know it today. Now, these three interpretations correspond more or less to three phases in human evolution. The necessity to explore the surroundings, to find adequate tools for survival, and along the centuries to explore new continents. And in a matter of some millennia, we arrived to look even further away and to go towards the outer space, to the atmosphere, to look at the moon. Earth observation was born when we developed the capacities to look from the distance, our own geographical space, our own surroundings. And at the same time, space technologies opened up the capacity to communicate in a different way, opening up new horizons. The digital communications was born later on, but space technologies were anticipating this transformation and opened up the road for big data, the emergence of Society 2 or 4.0, the future. Through all this evolution, cultural evolution roadmap, space and the related technology will be the enabling element. When was the space policy born as attention in Europe? It was born more or less 20 years ago in Baveno, Italy, Lake Maggiore. This is Baveno in a Lancet image of 1998, and this is the same area from a Sentinel, 14th of June 2018. Now, in Baveno, we had some experts from member states. Of course, we had the European Space Agency, without which nothing about Copernicus could have been done. Thanks again. We had some officials from the DG Research. They all gathered together because they wanted to find the best way to look at our spaces, our surroundings. The concept was it was necessary to find a tool to monitor and protect the environment. And in fact, the ideas that they had were condensated, were compiled in a program called the GMES, Global Monitoring for Environmental Security, which later began the actual Copernicus. Now, the space policy is the best example we have of European Union added value as a project, because no single member state could have set up such a complex and efficient Earth observation program. But what has this to do with cultural heritage? Cultural heritage, as we all know, includes natural heritage too. A landscape, as we know, where we live now, where our ancestors lived, where hopefully future generations will live. And per se, a natural spot is a cultural signpost. It's a place where man interacts with nature, Men interact with other men. They leave trace of civilization. The changes of a natural area are proof of this interaction. So Copernicus was conceived, as I said, as a tool for Earth observation, therefore also for environmental monitoring, and in that sense it is a tool for cultural heritage monitoring and protection. On the other, Natura 2000 sites and UNESCO and the hotspots even in Africa use Copernicus cultures. Now, what is Copernicus for people who don't know? Please, the ones who already know, bear with me. You know everything already, but somebody in this conference might not have a precise idea of what I'm talking about. So I think that I will show, with the help of some technician here, the video that explains in a very few minutes what Copernicus is. Can you please check it out? Thank you.
Characterized by overwhelming environmental challenges. We must try to tackle the effects of global warming, the problems created by both overpopulation and overconsumption, and the depletion of natural resources. How can we best manage our consumption and utilization of our Earth's natural resources and protect our environment? To answer this and other related questions, we constantly need to be aware of the state and health of our planet. The Copernicus program helps us to achieve this by observing our environment, collecting, storing and analyzing data, and providing products to enable effective decisions to be made. Brought together by different stakeholders in the European Union, Copernicus monitors our planet and its many ecosystems, while ensuring that its inhabitants are prepared for and protected against crises and natural or man-made disasters. Copernicus information services are based on data from a constellation of 6 families of satellites, known as the Sentinels, and dozens of third-party satellites known as contributing space missions. These measuring devices in orbit sometimes operate alone, and sometimes combined with sensors placed on the seas, land, or in the air. Copernicus then stores the data and helps to provide a large amount of reliable and up-to-date information on the status of our planet. This data can be used to create different kinds of products, such as statistics and topographic maps. The data is analyzed in a way that generates indicators useful for researchers and end users, providing information on past, present and future trends. Copernicus contributes not only to European scientific and technical excellence, but is part of a public service framework, allowing full, free and open access to all data collected. Anyone, scientists, policymakers, entrepreneurs, and ordinary citizens can use this data. Its missions also include essential interrelated themes, incorporating 6 sets of services: atmosphere monitoring, marine environment monitoring, land monitoring, climate change, emergency management, and security, that translate into concrete and effective areas of application. With regards to the environment, Copernicus detects the content of aerosols that destroys the ozone layer, analyzing atmospheric composition and biodiversity. It is regularly evaluating the melting of the polar ice cap in the Arctic as a result of temperature increases due to global warming. It determines the quality of air and water that affects our health. It monitors ocean levels, coastal areas, and forests in order to limit the damage from the threat of earthquakes, floods, and fires to ensure our safety. In the energy sector, Copernicus promotes the use of hydraulic and wind power plants, promising clean, eco-friendly alternatives to fossil fuels. This will allow for renewable energy to account for up to 27% of our total energy consumption by 2030. Copernicus also supports the monitoring of the external borders of the European Union, using space data merged with other sources of information to increase situational awareness and improve assessment of risk at the external borders. Serving the marine world, Copernicus tracks marine pollution affecting aquatic ecosystems and the fishing industry. As part of a development cooperation policy, Copernicus warns of early signs of deforestation and desertification in order to avoid the problems of loss of biodiversity and food shortages. It oversees the irrigation of fields and monitors crops for better food management. It is also increasing outbreaks of diseases, such as Ebola in West Africa. Further to these examples, Copernicus can serve the tourism industry, urban development, archaeology, oil and gas, and the insurance sector. It is an incredible tool, efficient, constantly evolving, open to all, and free of charge. And this will always be the case. It is a tool to create new applications, new opportunities, new markets, new jobs. Independent studies indicate that by 2030, nearly 48,000 jobs could be created by the application of Copernicus. And why not? Tens of thousands of users already make use of the data which is freely available. Knowing that each euro invested in satellite technology represents a high return on investment, the number of business opportunities is likely to increase in the coming years. New horizons are coming ever closer to us, here on Earth and in space.
Okay. So it was a bit dense, but I hope not too long. What did we do now with Copernicus? We tried to focus the attention on cultural heritage and, of course, towns with it, entire territories. And we organized a workshop in order to see what kind of reorganization in the catalog of products that we offer already could be immediately used for these purposes. Now, the workshop that was held last year had various results, and we were able to validate the fact that Copernicus can be helpful in addressing landscape and assets monitoring and conservation, geomapping, related vulnerability, and so on. Now, by using the European space technology to monitor and protect a collective heritage, people are in fact validating the European culture of care of the territory, their needs, the monuments, and this is, to validate their local identity. This is our collective identities, our collective cultural heritage. And this also, of course, helps to promote growth and competitiveness. I mean, after all, SDG growth, so that we are almost through. I wanted just to show some of the examples, the applications at Copernicus, monitoring on archaeological sites like this one, or like this one in Aleppo, but I'm sure that Asa later will show much more. And this is an example of image. Copernicus also data applied to the study of centers of towns, phenomena of subsidence in Denmark, Campi Flegrei. This is San Francisco, but it could be any other part. This is, again, the lake San Giuliano here in the area, and the variation, and you can gather a lot of data for that. So the latest initiative is now the organization of a task force to get even more accessible those products that Copernicus wants to devote to the protection and monitoring of cultural heritage. The combination of Space4Culture is the perfect example in how we cherish the past and we validate the future, because we have the right and the duty to learn, to keep alive what Dante claimed to be our destiny. And this should be in Italian: fatti non foste a viver come bruti, ma per seguir virtute e conoscenza. Thank you.